Welcome, everybody. We are Metal Toad. We are ML specialists in the AWS ecosystem. It's my pleasure to introduce your speakers for today. So Ray Pocius, who is a data engineer at Metal Toad, and Sujit Singh, who is the partner management solutions architect for ML. I think we may see a showing of Stacy Gordon, who was our director of alliances on a global scale. And then I, of course, am the CEO at Metal Toad. If you have any questions now or after, please feel free to reach out. We do have a chat that is available. I think the QA is available. So if you have any questions, either prior to the presentation getting started, if you have questions about Bedrock in general, feel free to put those in. We'd love to see those questions. You can also raise your hand during a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So I think that's pretty much it. We're here to answer your questions. We're here to help. And Ray, I think you can take it away.
Great. So the agenda for today's webinar, we start out with some introductions. Joaquin has given a little overview of Metal Toad and what we do. And then Sujit is going to be talking with us about AWS Bedrock. And then we'll talk about a case study that we have with one of our clients where we used AWS Bedrock as a solution to their business problems. And then at the end, we'll talk about our proof of concept funding opportunity, if you'd like to integrate Bedrock into your business's workflow. And then we'll use the remaining time for Q&A. So with that, I'll hand us over to Sujit, and he will talk to us about AWS Bedrock.
Sure, thank you so much, Ray. Let me share my screen. Can you confirm that you can see my screen in PowerPoint mode?
Yes.
That is a yes from those here in the presentation.
All right, thank you so much. So I will just go off the camera to save some bandwidth and we'll get started. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this session today. My name is Sujit Singh. I am a partner management solutions architect with AWS. I have been with AWS for just short of 2 years. And in my role here at AWS, I help partners to build their capabilities by innovating on AWS. I am also a container specialist and generative AI ambassador. And as part of that, I help customers and partners adopt container and generative AI technologies on AWS. For the agenda today, we'll start things off with a quick introduction to generative AI, and we'll look at how it is shaping the world around us. Then we will also dive a little bit deeper into our AWS generative AI service offerings, which we have. We'll look at some of the common use cases for generative AI, and then we'll dive right into Amazon Bedrock. So generative AI has taken the world by storm because we have been able to, through consumer-facing applications like ChatGPT, experience how powerful the latest machine learning models have become. While a lot of attention has been given to how consumers are using generative AI, we think that there is an even bigger opportunity in how businesses will use it to deliver amazing experience for their customers and their employees. The true power of generative AI goes beyond a search engine or a chatbot. It will transform every aspect of how companies and organizations operate. The potential of generative AI is incredibly exciting, with Goldman Sachs forecasting a $7 trillion increase in global GDP and lift productivity growth by 1.5% points over a 10-year period. So we have a huge potential. Now, with this huge potential, why this technology, which has been percolating for decades, seeing so much interest just now? it has reached its tipping point, the convergence of technological progress and the value of what it can accomplish. With the massive proliferation of the data, the availability of highly scalable compute capacity, and the advancement of machine learning technologies over time, generative AI is finally taking shape. In particular, these ML innovations have made the capabilities of generative AI possible just within the last few years. Now, this is a simple slide which explains the evolution of AI in a very simple and graphical way. Traditional forms of machine learning allowed us to take simple inputs like numeric values and map them to simple outputs like predicted values. With the advent of deep learning, we could take complicated inputs like videos or images and map them to relatively simple outputs. For example, identifying if a given object is there in the image. And now, with generative AI, we can leverage massive amounts of complex data to capture and present knowledge in more advanced ways, mapping complicated inputs to complicated outputs like extracting summary and key insight from a large and complex document. Amazon and AWS have been working on AI and machine learning for more than 20 years as part of Amazon's heritage, ethos, and future. Some of the examples are our e-commerce recommendation engine is driven by machine learning. The path that optimize robotic picking routes in our fulfillment centers are driven by machine learning, and our supply chain forecasting and capacity planning are informed by machine learning. Prime Air and Amazon Go use deep learning. Alexa, which is powered by more than 30 different machine learning systems, help customers billions of times each week to manage their daily lives. At AWS, we have played a key role in democratizing machine learning and making it accessible to anyone who wants to use it, including more than 100,000 customers of all sizes and industries. AWS customers have asked us how they can quickly take advantage of what is out there today and what is coming tomorrow to quickly begin using foundation models and generative AI within their businesses and organizations to drive new levels of productivity and transform their offerings. We have identified 4 key considerations to quickly build and deploy generative AI applications at scale. Let's quickly go through them one by one. The first one is easiest way to build. Our customers asked us to provide them an easy way to build generative AI applications that offer the flexibility to choose the best foundation models depending on the use cases. Amazon Bedrock, which is GA now, generally available now, is a fully managed service that offers a choice of high-performing foundation models from leading AI companies like AI21 Labs, Anthropic, Cohere, Meta, Stability AI, and Amazon, along with a broad set of capabilities that you need to build generative AI applications. Since Amazon Bedrock is serverless, you don't have to manage any infrastructure, and you can securely integrate and deploy generative AI capabilities into your applications using the AWS services, which you are already familiar with. While foundation models can be powerful out of the box, to be truly useful to your organization, they need to be customized with your data in a secure and private environment. Your data is your differentiator for generative AI. One of the most important capabilities of Bedrock is how easy it is to customize a model and tailor it to your customer's business with their data for their products. You can fine-tune Bedrock's foundation model by providing a few hundred labeled examples, by pointing Bedrock to their dataset in their S3 bucket, making it possible to create an accurate, customized model for their specific problem without the burden of collecting large volumes of annotated data. But you evidently need to make sure that all your customers' data is kept private and secure, and that none of your customers' data is used to train the underlying model, and all your data is encrypted and does not leave their virtual private cloud. When your customers want to customize the base foundation model with Amazon Bedrock, their customer-specific data is used to train a separate copy of the base foundation model. This customized foundation model is private to the customer. Note that neither the customized foundation model nor the data that was used to customize the base foundation model get shared with any other customer. AWS also provides a set of generative AI-powered applications and services that your organizations can quickly deploy to boost your employees' productivity. So we are excited to share that we are combining our work in QuickSight with our new LLM capabilities available through Bedrock to provide generative AI capabilities in QuickSight. We call this generative BI. Generative BI makes it even easier to collaborate on data across your customer and speed up data-driven decision-making. With AWS HealthScribe, which is a HIPAA-eligible automatic note generation service for clinical applications, healthcare vendors can create applications that reduce the burden of clinical documentation. It supports the responsible use of AI by including references to original patient transcripts for every sentence in AI-generated clinical notes. And this makes it easier to validate the accuracy in their applications. Again, security and privacy features are also built in AWS HealthScribe to ensure input audio and output text are not stored in HealthScribe. Generative AI can take the heavy lifting out of the equation by writing much of the undifferentiated code, allowing developers to build faster while freeing them up to focus on more creative aspects of coding. This is why last year we announced the preview of Amazon Code Whisperer, an AI coding companion that uses a foundation model under the hood to radically improve developer productivity by generating code suggestions in real time on developers' comments in natural language and prior code in their IDE. Finally, let's take a look at the infrastructure on top of which all these generative AI developments and applications will run. Whatever customers are trying to do with foundation models, running them, building them, customizing them, they need the most performant, cost-effective infrastructure that is purpose-built for machine learning. AWS has been investing with our partners and in our own silicon for more than 10 years in order to offer a broad choice of high-performance, low-cost machine learning infrastructure options. This investment is why AWS is uniquely positioned to help our customers accelerate their adoption of generative AI. With our decade of experience designing and building silicon, we have applied our learnings to create innovative, purpose-built silicon for your machine learning and generative AI workloads. AWS Inferentia 2 instances deliver up to 40% better inference price performance than other comparable EC2 instances and the lowest cost for inference in EC2. And our AWS Trainium 1 instances deliver up to 50% savings on the training costs. AWS has everything for you to build solutions and offerings and accelerate your generative AI journey. Let's take a look at some of the use cases which you can build with generative AI. Generative AI use cases can be grouped in 3 categories depending on who will be positively impacted. The first category is your customers. You can enhance your customer experiences by using generative AI to reinvent the way they interact with your They interact with your company and enhancing their experiences. Some of the examples you can think of here are chatbots and personal assistants and personalization. The second category is your employees. You can boost employee productivity and creativity. Examples would be summarization and conversational search and code generation. And then lastly, your backend processes. You can optimize business processes by using generative AI to optimize them and augment them using higher efficiencies and lower cost. Examples would be document processing and data augmentation. These three cases you will see on a consistent basis across multiple industries. The nuances of how they are applied varies, as well as their prioritization of how they are implemented will be different based on the challenges and the trends for different industries. Let's take a look at some of these use cases a bit more in detail. So the first one is enhancing customer experience. In this case, chatbots is the top of the mind use case for this category. Chatbots have existed for a long time, but they were rule-based and therefore complex to develop. With generative AI, chatbots can be developed way faster and have more fluent and human-like conversations with the user. These chatbots can be text-based or audio and video-based virtual assistants. Another use case is conversational analytics that we could also call voice of the customer analytics that allows you to extract key insights from surveys or from recorded calls in your contact center that will be transcribed and analyzed to summarize them and understand your customer needs, call drivers, and emerging trends. Generative AI can also be used to assist human agents by providing them fast answers to the questions the customer is asking them, as well as guiding them to provide with additional information the customer might be interested in. Finally, another use case in which generative AI can be applied is personalization. In the second category, enhancing your employees' productivity, let's take a look at some of the use cases. The first use case is content creation. How generative AI is used to create novel content based on users' prompt and the enterprise knowledge infused in the foundation model using RAG or fine-tuning. The employee will be able to refine the results by asking generative AI assistant to expand a particular section or adopt the style of document to a particular audience or length. The same concept can be applied to a more interactive experience in which the goal is to come up with new ideas or new designs that can be used for product ideation as an example. This use case has an immediate impact in employees' productivity. Another use case can be in employees' productivity is when generative AI is used to search content across documents, data, and applications and extract the key insights in all these documents based on employees' question, and then summarize the result or the documents and even do a comparative analysis between different documents to identify differences or to verify if a document is compliant with a particular guidance, and to be able to create new document based on all these insights like an offer for a customer. In this example, the assistant is used to search across the knowledge base of an insurance company to suggest the best recommendation for the customer. It gives the employee the links to the different resources which were used to provide that recommendation and use that information to create a policy that can be reviewed by the employee and shared with the customer. Another example of how generative AI can improve employees' productivity is by automatically generating reports of graphs based on employees' prompt. This use case enables faster and better data-driven decisions. A similar use case is when we use generative AI to create a story based on the information which is present in a table or a graph, and it will be easier to understand what the data is actually telling us. Moving on to the last use case is increasing employees' productivity by code generation. Generative AI can take this heavy lifting out of the equation by writing much of the undifferentiated code, allowing developers to build faster while freeing them up to focus on the more creative aspects of coding. Moving on to Amazon Bedrock. Amazon Bedrock offers a variety of top foundation models via single API. So you can not only leverage multiple models, but also utilize newer, improved versions with minimal coding changes. Bedrock provides easy customization, letting you bring your own data to your AI systems to improve accuracy and to specialize the model for your business, customers, and industry. Bedrock is designed from ground up to provide security and privacy for all your generative AI data. With Bedrock, your content is not used to improve the base model and is not shared with third-party model providers. You get all the tools you need to build end-to-end applications with Bedrock. You can easily build fully managed agents that execute complex business tasks, from booking travel and processing insurance claims to creating ad campaigns and managing your inventory by calling your company systems and API dynamically. Connect foundation models to proprietary data sources for retrieval augmentation from within your managed service, extending the foundation model's already powerful capabilities and making it more knowledgeable about you and your customers. And all of this with the best operational performance, because Bedrock runs on optimized infrastructure powered by the broadest choice of accelerators, including NVIDIA's GPU, AWS Trainium, and AWS Inferentia, which are designed to maximize performance and reduce cost. How does Bedrock work? With Bedrock serverless experience, you can quickly experiment with a number of foundation models available in Amazon Bedrock, privately customize those foundation models with your own data, and easily integrate and deploy them into your applications using familiar AWS tools and capabilities without managing any infrastructure. Agents for Amazon Bedrock makes it easier for developers to create generative AI-based applications that can complete complex tasks and respond with more accurate and relevant answers using retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. We believe in offering the best choice and flexibility of foundation models for your use cases. We have our own Amazon Titan model, including Titan Text for text summarization, and our Titan Embeddings model for embeddings and search. We offer AI21 Labs Jurassic 2, which uses natural language to generate text in a variety of languages. Anthropic's Claude is built with the latest research on responsible AI to perform conversational and text processing tasks. Command, which is Cohere's LLM, is a text generation model trained for business applications such as summarization, copywriting, dialogue extraction, and question answering. To make it more straightforward for developers to find and access the high-performing foundation models, Amazon Bedrock offers an easy-to-use developer experience Quickly try out various foundation models, easily customize them using interactive visual interface, and work with foundation models from different model providers through a single API. You can choose foundation models and try them out in the playground to find the right one for your use case. You can use Bedrock Customization Wizard to fine-tune models with your data to your company specific tasks through an interactive visual interface without writing any code. You can use a single API to perform inference regardless of the model you choose. Having a single API provides the flexibility to use different models from different model providers and keep up to date with the latest model versions with minimal code changes. With a few clicks, agents for Bedrock configure your foundation model to automatically break down and orchestrate tasks without any manual code. The agent securely connects your company's data sources through a simple API, automatically converts your data into machine-readable format, and augments the user's request with relevant information to generate a more accurate response. Agents in Bedrock also take action to fulfill the user's request by executing API calls on your behalf. With Amazon Bedrock knowledge bases, you can securely integrate foundation models with your organization's data sources to deliver more accurate and relevant responses. You can quickly add a knowledge base by specifying a data source such as Amazon S3 to ingest data from, and embedding foundation models such as Amazon Titan embeddings to convert the data to vector format. And then you can use a destination vector database such as Vector Engine for Amazon OpenSearch Serverless or Pinecone or Redis to store the vector data. Using knowledge bases, Amazon Bedrock agents identifies the appropriate data sources, retrieves the relevant information based on user input, incorporate the retrieved information context into the user query, and provide a more accurate response. You can use AWS Private Link with Amazon Bedrock to fully establish private connectivity between your foundation models and on-premise networks without exposing your traffic to the internet. Amazon Bedrock offers several capabilities to support security and privacy requirements and is compatible with common compliance programs, including GDPR and HIPAA. Amazon Bedrock allows customers to reserve throughput, which is number of requests fulfilled by the model per minute, to maintain a consistent user experience even during peak traffic times. In contrast to the on-demand pricing, provision throughput guarantees against the possibility of some user requests getting timeout due to spikes in request volumes at certain times. Provision throughput gives you more control and flexibility to ensure your AI systems is ready for your users at all times, including when the request volume is high. I think that was the last slide which I had. At this point, I would like to hand it over to Ray to take the presentation forward.
Great, thank you, Sujit. Just switch over to my screen here.
And let's keep those questions coming. We've got one, which was what coding language is used by Code Whisperer. So thank you, Sumit, for answering that one in line. We've also got one that's pending, which is how AWS prevents hallucinations that could compromise clients' experience. That's a good one. We're going to hold on to that one until the end. And Ray's going to be going through this presentation, but go ahead and hit that Q&A function. Keep dropping those questions in. We're happy to answer any and all of those questions that come in. Thanks, Ray.
So I'll now be talking about our case study with our client Genius Vets and how we used AWS Bedrock to solve their business problems. So Genius Vets is a veterinarian platform whose function is to connect people with great veterinarians to receive the best advice or counsel that they need for their pet's health So Genius Vets came to us with the following business problem. They came to us with a large number of recorded phone calls, a veterinarian receptionist and their callees, and they wanted to know more about these phone calls. They want to know which ones are the worst in quality so that they can use those for training purposes and also improving customer experience. To understand which calls are the worst of the worst, they'll need an analysis about each call to really truly understand them. So we framed this business problem into the following two problems. We'll need to design a system that'll take audio MP3 files of the phone conversations and convert them to transcriptions. Then with those transcriptions, we need a system that analyzes and recognizes patterns in the text, and then returns us metadata or labels as to what exactly is occurring within the call. First, we created a step function that takes those MP3 audio files from their S3 bucket and then processes them using AWS Transcribe to generate transcription files. Now we arrive at the second problem that I outlined earlier. Now, given these transcriptions, how can we extract metadata out of them and how can we analyze them? So we met with Genius Vet's team several times to really understand what types of questions they want to ask about their data. Through our consultation, we determined that we'll need a system that can answer event-based questions and sentiment-based questions. We'll need to determine if a given event occurred within the call. Examples of this can be whether an appointment was booked or the cost of a service was discussed. And we'll also need to determine if there are any particular sentiments within a call. Examples of this would be identifying whether there's frustration, anger, or concern in the call. And this left us with the perfect use case for a large language model, and specifically AWS Bedrock. We can prompt LLM to look for these particular events and sentiments within a call. With the transcripts we generated using AWS Transcribe, we built a system using AWS Bedrock and an Anthropic Claude model. The system has three distinct functions that generate prompts to send to the LLM. We have a transcript summarizer, event identifier, and sentiment analyzer. All of these receive the transcript and return the summary, along with whether any of the events and sentiments are present or not within the call. So the system then returns JSON with those properties. And these JSON files can be used downstream for further analytics applications and to even be used with the Genius Vets call dashboard. The following is a call transcript, which I'll use as an example. The caller is looking to schedule an appointment, and the call results in the appointment being scheduled, and overall the quality of the call seems pretty good. So our system takes that call and returns a summary along with an event JSON, where you can see that it correctly identified that an appointment was made within the conversation. And the sentiments match what we saw earlier. The caller expressed gratitude and was satisfied with the service. And then the results of these functions were concatenated and then stored as JSON in S3 for our client to use downstream. And with that, I'll hand us over to Joaquin to talk about our proof of concept funding opportunity with AWS.
Great. Thanks so much, Ray. I think you've got the slide deck on your side, so I'll just ask you to prompt go through. So ready for the next slide? We'll go through these fairly quickly. Just as an overview, what is proof of concept funding from AWS? AWS wants you to use those services. So what they do is they look at what the potential spend is for any particular project that's going to be launching on there, and they will actually set aside money for that proof of concept, for that pilot to be created. So you can test it out risk-free. There's no cost or sometimes a deferred cost in terms of what the total amount looks like, so that you can explore what either machine learning and potentially other workloads would look like, but we're focusing on ML today. So what is an ML POC? That's pretty much it. Ray, if you want to move forward to the next slide. So proof of concept or POC, small scale projects for customers. It has to be a new workload. So this isn't for an existing project that you have going, unless you're looking at how do you implement machine learning? How would you integrate something like that? That is considered a new workload. So it's designed for feasibility. And then the customer will then commit to using AWS if that POC is successful. Obviously, that's dependent on a number of things in terms of you discover pricing, you discover speed of use, a bunch of different things. And so it can be a very useful vehicle if you're curious about what is possible. Next. So to do this, you do have to work with an AWS partner. We, Metal Toad, are an AWS partner. We would qualify. There are a number, thousands of partners who could potentially get you started in here. But certainly for a machine learning project, you would want to pick a partner like Metal Toad who has the machine learning competency, which is an organizational level competency that's been completed. Next. So the funding, getting down to the brass tacks of it, we generally will put together a pricing calculator, and based on that, determine what the annual recurring revenue from the AWS perspective. So from the customer perspective, the annual recurring spend, and AWS will take 10% of that and set it aside. So say, for example, if the project could potentially result in $100,000 of annual spend, AWS will write a check for $10,000 to get that done. There is limits. So it is up to $250,000 that would be capped. So there's $25,000 that AWS would write there. But don't fear, if you're planning on spending more than that, AWS actually has other different, more generous programs that you could tie into from there. Next. So payment structure, there's cash paid on project completion. There are credits that are issued up front. And the most important part of this is if you're planning on doing a POC, there is some planning that is required. So it requires a few weeks of pre-approval. We need to go through, make sure that we're doing our due diligence, but that's a program that is available. Next. So this is a quick summary. If you want to take a screenshot of this, if you're curious about any of that, that's really what this is for. But proof of concept funding can be great for people who are looking to launch a new program in AWS. Thanks, Ray. So we've got one question from Rodrigo Silva. And I think we can also, I think people can raise their hands. We've got the question that was over there is how could AWS prevent hallucinations that could compromise clients' experiences? Sumit, do you want to read your response there? I think that's a great reply.
Do you want to add anything from your side? Yeah, I think primarily, right, I think what we responded is the technique of prompt engineering as well as the RAG, right? Retrieval augmented generation, that's the technique a lot of customers use to basically fine-tune your responses when and prevent hallucinations. I'm going to add a link to a great presentation one of my colleagues did. It's a YouTube link, which talks about basically how can we safeguard against all these basically problems that we face with the LLMs, right? Hallucination is one of them, toxicity, bias, how to reduce that. So I'll add the link to. Hope that answers the question. Or anything you want to add, Sujit or Ray, please feel free.
Great. Any other questions that people have? That Q&A is open. If not, I'll thank everybody for being present. Thank you for posting that link. And this is one of several webinars that we produce. I want to thank everybody who spoke. So Sujit, fantastic presentation. Great. And Ray, thank you so much for walking us all through. Natalie, thank you for being so kind as to host and organize and run those polls. So fantastic. And then Sumit, thank you for answering those questions. I appreciate everybody being here, and I look forward to staying in touch. Please don't hesitate to reach out to hello@Metal Toad if you have any ongoing questions. We're happy to help.